Hello and welcome. You are watching Tabletop Gaming Magazine. I am Chris Lowry and we are taking a look at Europa Universalis, the price of power. Before we get started, just a reminder, this is a first look. This is not a review. I'm not going to open this up and play a game and let you know how it plays, what the gameplay is like, whether or not it's amazing or anything like that. All I'm doing is having a look at what you get inside this magnificent beast. Also, this is the deluxe edition, written somewhere here on the nice gold foil, you can see there. It's the deluxe edition. There is a standard edition as well. This version covers 1 to 6 players and has a few, I think it's got an extra board in there, a few extra bits and pieces. This gives you a taste of what's in both of them, but just remember, if you buy the standard edition, you maybe aren't going to get everything that you find in here. Now, before I actually open it up, I just wanted to give you an idea of the scale of this. So I've got here Dominion, and Dominion, a well-known deck building game, comes in a fairly classic box. It's the sort of size that you'd see Ticket to Ride in, Settlers of Catan, that sort of classic size here. And what's notable is in every single dimension, it is a much bigger beast that you're getting with Europa Universalis, which something to be aware of. Also something that's quite exciting because that means there's lots of shiny things inside. So let's take the box lid off. And Europa Universalis comes from the well-known computer game, also called Europa Universalis, and is a 4X game. And for those of you who aren't familiar with 4X, it stands for, this is where I'm going to remember the 4X's, explore, expand, exploit and exterminate. So they tend to be pretty big games. Other games that fall into this would be things like Eclipse, which is set in space. These games tend to be big, sprawling things where you go right up against each other, building an empire and fighting to see if you can build all the systems within your empire to crush your enemies, and by enemies I mean your friends. Okay, so we've got lots of rule books. Just having a quick look through. So we've got a set of player guides, which is, it's always useful to get a nice little summary guide that everyone round the table can have their own copy. So that the main aspects of the iconography and the rules are there for everyone to reference without having to look in the main rule book. Then we've got the actual rule book itself here, and then we've got guides for the scenarios, and we've got some solo rules as well. And so as we have a look inside here, well, we've got a polystyrene block, which is not terribly exciting, but then there's two things that get me excited immediately. Custom dice. Very hard to go wrong with custom dice. And these are mostly used for military actions. There's an exploration dice in there as well. But I think inside here you've got, if I just remind myself from the cheat sheet on the back of the manual, you've got infantry dice, cavalry dice, artillery dice, rebel dice. So those will play into an aspect of how the extermination and the warfare takes place. But the thing that I immediately liked, and this is the kind of thing that sometimes you see in deluxe editions or kind of the big box set editions, you already have game organisers, counter organisers for each of the different players. And I'll show you a close-up of these in a second. But what I love about this is, so you're the pink player, there you go. There's all your pieces, there's all your counters. We've not had to pop anything out, that's all ready to go. And that is a feature that I think we can all agree is rather an exciting aspect to this Europa Universalis experience straight away. Because we love games, but who really loves setup? I think it's fair to say setup can be one of the more tedious aspects of these things. And next in here we've got punch boards. And having just said that I don't love setup, I take a certain childish satisfaction in the tactility of punching out punch boards and getting all the tokens for the game. Unlike most games like this that I've ever opened up, there's a surprising lack of punch boards, and I think the player token boxes with everything already there, and obviously nice wooden pieces as well, takes care of that for you a little bit. So there's only 3 boards of punch boards to punch out, and these cover religions. The game's got quite a lot of religion, as befits the kind of historical setting of it. Let me just remind myself. We've got Protestant, Counter-Reformation, Catholic, diverse faiths, Orthodox and Muslim tokens. And then you've got the game's money, ducats, as well. So that's your punch boards. And then we're getting on to the last 2 sets of things in the box, really. Let's have a look. So we've got the game board itself.
The deluxe version comes with 3 game boards.
You've got Western Europe, but then you've also got Eastern Europe as a bonus. We'll have a proper focus up on this in a second, but I just wanted to give you a taste. Wow. Okay. So we've got Eastern Europe there, and you can see it's a fairly large, fairly weighty thing there. Sorry, did I say Eastern Europe? Yeah, that's Western Europe there. And I've got a different version of Western Europe on the back. And then in here, we've got Eastern Europe. And so obviously these 2 can join together as well, creating something that will require it's fair to say, quite a large amount of table space with that joining on there. And I'll give you a close-up of all of that laid out shortly. And I think actually, I'll show you a close-up of it now, because I think just having a look at the range of iconography that you've got going on here is quite exciting. You can already start to see how spreading your empire through these territories and butting up against one another could be quite fun. And then finally, something that I think Europa Universalis is excelling at so far in this first look, all of your cards are already in position in the correct decks in a box divider. Let me just see if I can pull it out so you can just have a bit of a look at it. So we've got this vacuum moulded divide here, but you can see that means, unlike some games that I've reviewed recently that take 2 hours to set up, I can already see that this game can be brought to the table significantly faster. I mean, just pulling out your tokens, having your cards there, and we've only got 3 boards of punch balls to punch out. This is something that, even if it's not necessarily going to be an instant setup, there has been thought put into designing this so that you can get this to the table and get to the meat and vegetables of actually wrestling with each other over Europe as fast as possible. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up the board on the table and we'll have a look and see what that looks like. Now, I'm just going to give you a rough taste of things here. There is a lot to this game, and there is more than I can cover now. If you have a look here, we're looking at East Anglia, and you can see we've got Oxford, London, and Essex here. And if we take my player board, which goes with my yellow counters, we've got this yellow board here. We've also got yellow army boards that can go next to it as well, all in the matching colours. What you can see is that these lovely indentations here match the different sizes of icons here. So this capital city here of London, I've only got a limited number of tokens that can take those, and then each player setup will say which towns it begins with. But let's just imagine that we start here with Oxford and start with a town there in Essex as well. And you can see that as these tokens are removed, they show a steadily increasing income from tax. You can see here it's 14 and 7 rather than 4 and 2. And this represents an increased income and better benefit from having a large empire. The more towns you have out, the more money a player gets, and as they spread from Essex all the way to, Burgundy. And you've also got these other markers like your army counters here, and these cubes are here to demonstrate your administrative power, your diplomatic power, your military power. And you've got your treasury and your ability to move manpower around here as well, and the stability of your empire, which goes up and down with this marker here. Now, as I've said, there simply isn't room here for me to do a full review of this game. First of all, I need to play it at least a few times, and I don't think you really want to sit there for 3 hours watching me do that. However, I think what's becoming very clear to me is the attention to detail that you see in this box. These player boards, I mean, I always love indented boards where tokens fit in neatly, but they also make it so that very quickly the mechanics, in the very way that you interact with components, start to present themselves. I think Europa Universalis is clearly trying to do everything it can to stop you having to focus on the fiddly bits of cardboard and focus more on the actual gameplay experience itself. Let's take a quick look at these component boxes you get. So you've got your army markers here, and obviously your fleet marker as well, which is pretty obvious because it's a boat. And these are very clearly labelled with a 1, 2 and 3 to help you show which one. And these provide an abstract representation of your armies on the board. So you don't have to have 10 fiddly little tokens. You can have this one army marker which represents all of the different units that you have in combat. We've already talked about our city markers here. These cubes, which are for representing your political power and various bits of administrative overwork. Individual soldiers here, and boats. So they're all really rather nice and rather easy to understand. And so finally, I think the only thing we've not really covered here is the cards. So Europa Universalis comes with over 600 cards. So you've got your main sort of bridge style cards here, and then you've got all of these little mini decks here. And each of the mini decks, again, I've not yet played this game, but some of the ideas that are written on here. So there's one of the decks is titled Administrative Ideas. Just that, administrative ideas. What's going on there? The theme of this game and the kind of the crunchy specificity of it's quite exciting. It's got missions in France, power struggles, missions in Muscovy in Russia, milestones of economics, power struggles. I mean, a deck called Power Struggles is exactly my kind of thing. And the game is set over 4 ages. So these cards here with 1, 2 and 4 written on them represent the different ages. And what I love is it's all set out like this. I played a game recently where it just came with 2 just massive bundled stacks of cards, whereas here,
some of that initial work of administration, card separation is done for you. Setup will still take some time, using the rules to set up each deck, but it's been streamlined.
And then finally, the bit I want to focus on here is the very consistent use of iconography throughout this game. I'll just zoom in on this card for you. The end is nigh, all players lose 1, and then there's a picture of some scales. But what does that mean? Well, if we turn to page 1 in the manual, or well, page 2 probably, turning over the page, we've got the iconography and abbreviations chart. And I have a look on there, and the second icon down in the middle column tells me that this refers to stability. And I can see with the same icon here that my stability tracker on the top here means that when this card comes up, we move down 1 stability. And what was the next bit of the card? And you gain 2, and then there's a little symbol there that I don't know what it is, but let's have a look. 2 administrative power, which means that I put 2 administrative power cubes into my administrative power section. Struggling to say administrative too many times there. It's things like that mean that I feel fairly confident that picking up Europa Universalis is going to be a lot easier than it could be. So there we go. This is Europa Universalis from A-Gear Games. It is for 1 to 6 players, anywhere from 90 to 300 minutes. Obviously a chunky bit of an afternoon there. And it takes the 4X genre and puts it in a historical setting. Thank you for watching this video with me. I've been Chris Lowry. You can find me at CM Lowry Author in various places on the internet. And don't forget to check out Tabletop Gaming Magazine, full of news, reviews and exciting articles all about the lovely world of cardboard.